they ask us to determine the equation of the cubic function, it's not a question just like that. It's never just find the equation of the cubic function, although it could be. Normally what they do is that they will give you an equation and then there will be pieces missing. So for example, let me see if I've got one like that here. Okay, so like this one. Okay, so in other words, they'll say to you, f of x equals ax cubed plus 5x squared plus 4x plus b. And then the first question in the exam will be, show that a is this and b is that. And that's essentially your question on determining the equation of the cubic function. Okay, so that's often how it gets presented to us. So that's why I want us to go through questions like that. Okay, so what we need to know in order to be able to do this section, all right, is how, or the two forms of the cubic equation that are useful for finding the equation of a cubic graph. So the first one is given to you here, number one. Is this big enough? Can you see it, by the way? Is that large enough? I can make it bigger. So the first one is this one over here. Where the roots are three distinct different roots. Okay, so in this case, we are given three distinct different roots and one other point. So in this question, they tell us in the diagram below, the graph of G cuts the x-axis at -2, -1, and 4. It also passes through the points 0 and 8. That's its y-intercept. The diagram is not drawn to scale. Determine the equation of G in the form g of x equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. So when we are given three x-intercepts that are distinct, sure, Mohammed? Like so? All right, x1, x2, and x3 represent those different x-intercepts, those roots. So what we're going to do is we're going to take them and we are going to go and sub into this particular formula. Okay, now this is not something that is on your formula sheet. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have learned this. All right, so subbing in from the diagram, y equals a, x, okay, now minus -2, it will become +2. Okay, x minus -1, it will become x plus 1. X minus +4, it will become x minus 4. Is everybody good with that? As always, we cannot make the assumption that the value of a is 1. We have to calculate the value of a. So that's going to be our first job, working out the value of a. Now what we can do, matrix, is we can sub in the y-intercept. So when x is 0, y is -8. So y is, y is -8 when x is 0. Okay, now we're going to multiply those three brackets together, and that is going to be the coefficient of a. So -4 times 1 times +2 gives us -8a as our coefficient, is equal to -8. And when we divide both sides by -8, we do in fact find out that a is equal to 1. But we cannot just assume that it is. We are feeling good about our answer because we can see the graph is concave down and then concave up. So it makes sense. A is a positive number. Then what you've got to do is you've got to take that value of a and you've got to go and sub it back into your first line. Now, in this case, it's not going to change anything because a is equal to 1. But if a was equal to 2 or 3 or whatever the case was, then it would definitely have an impact. So we're going to take that over there and we're going to go and sub it in over here. So in other words, we are now writing y equals 1 x plus 2 times x plus 1 times x minus 4. Because they expect us to write this in the form ax squared plus bx squared, sorry, x cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, it is now our job to multiply the brackets out. Okay, so do FOIL and then multiply whatever linear factor is left over. And it doesn't matter which brackets you choose to FOIL. Okay, I don't know about you, but this is what I do. I always leave the first bracket and then I FOIL the second two. So that gives us x squared minus 3x minus 4. And then multiplying the linear by the quadratic, we would end up with and last step, collecting our like terms together. Okay, no, that's not right. Oh, like that. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? So if they asked us, we would say that the value of A is 1, the value of B is minus 1, the value of C is minus 10, and the value of C is negative 8. Okay, so that would be one way to do it if you had 3 distinct roots. But graphs don't always, cubic functions don't always have 3 distinct roots, do they? Okay, so we know they've got to have at least one root. There could possibly be 2 roots if one of the coordinates, one of the x-intercepts is also a turning point, and then it can have 3 roots as well. So now let's consider a situation, all right, where one of our x-intercepts is also a turning point. And now that's why I'm showing you this. Okay, I hope all the scrolling up and down is not blowing your brains out. Okay, y equals ax squared, x minus 1, x minus x2 squared. Okay, where x2 is a repeated root and turning point. Okay, a repeated root and also a turning point. So now in this situation over here, we are going to use y equals x minus x1, x minus x2 squared. Do you think you know how to do this? Yes, okay, go for it, Aisha. Let's see if you guys can do this. Without me. I'm just, yeah, because they've already told us that A is equal to -1, haven't they? Okay, absolutely. So just try it and see how it works out for you guys. And then I'll work through it quickly and then we can mark it and go on. Of course, if you've got any questions, please ask Neliswa and I. Sure, Tisha, no problem. So there was that. Is that okay, Tisha? Cool. As soon as you finish this, you can pop done into the chat, and then we'll quickly whiz through it and make sure that you've got the right answer. Okay, so Tebogo, can you see? I don't know if it's a little bit small. Whoa, that suddenly grew massive, didn't it? Okay, so over here, Tebogo. Let's grab my highlighter. There. Can you see there's a -1 in front of the x cubed? That's how you know that a is equal to -1. Okay. So in fact, when you now want to sub in here, actually, okay, that's what, okay. Anybody else get the same answer as Colofelo? Thank you for your answer. Okay, so hope you got exactly the same answer as Colofelo. Okay, good job. Well done, guys. Oh, actually. I'm just quickly doing it here as well. Oops. And then moving the brackets, minus x cubed, then that would be plus 4x squared minus, should be 1x squared, and then it would be minus 4x plus 12, so that would be plus 8x, and then it would be minus 12. Okay, nice. Okay, so we got the same answer there. All right, quite right. Okay, so minus x cubed plus x squared plus 8x minus 12. Good job. Okay, Hope, you say, ma'am, will we always be given a hint on whether A is positive or negative? No, Hope, not always, not always, but most of the time, a lot of the time, when we answer these sorts of questions, there will be 2 letters that will be missing, and then they'll ask you to calculate the value of the 2 letters. Normally, we'll say something like, show that, you know, so in this case here, they could have, okay, maybe not the D, but they could have said, show that B equals 1 and C equals 8, or whatever the case is. All right. So yeah, sometimes, yes, if they've given you a diagram, then it's obviously easy for you to be able to tell. But if they don't tell you, you must always work out what the value of A is. All right, so that's really, really important. You have to work out the value of A. Don't make an assumption that it's 1 or -1 or whatever the case is. Okay, you have to absolutely calculate it. All right. I see I put this question in, but I'm not sure that this is actually, oh no, hang on, this is different. Okay. Let's see if you guys can do this one. All right, so they've given us a y-intercept at -20. One of our roots is q, and the other root is 5. Okay, they've told us our equation. Cool, Tisha. The equation is g of x equals x minus p, x plus q squared. Can you please determine the values of p and q? Can you see there, when they say to you, show that, you pretend you don't know what they are and you go about it exactly the same way? Yes. Okay, so the most important thing about proving or showing in maths is pretending that you don't know that that's the answer. Okay, and calculating it and getting to that answer. That's what they want you to do. Okay. All right, so here, let's try this one. Okay, again, I'm just going to let you work on it, and then we'll look at the answer afterwards. Okay, once you've done, you're welcome to put your answers in the chat. Okay. Colafero, you can go straight to that. Just be careful about signs. Okay. Anyone managed to work out the value of Q yet? Cool, Bochepo. So I'm going to get started up here. And hopefully in your first line, you guys are doing the same thing that I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the y with minus 20, x with 0, minus p with negative 5. Oopsie, sorry, not x, beg your pardon. And then here, we should have 0 plus q squared, which would obviously be q squared. Did you guys get that? So you would have ended up with minus 20 equals negative 5 q squared. Divide both sides by negative 5. That means that q squared is going to be equal to 4. Okay, so therefore q would equal to positive or negative 2. Okay. So it can't be negative because it's on the positive side of the x-axis. So therefore q has to be equal to positive 2. Okay. So that's how we were supposed to do that one. Does that make sense to everyone? Are we happy with that? Did we get this? Why is P5? Okay, because I shall remember, okay, when you are looking at g of x equals x minus p, x plus q squared, okay, the root that is not repeated is going to be the one that goes into this bracket here. Okay, this bracket here, x plus q, that's going to be the root that's repeated. Okay, that's how we know. Okay, very important. Do you remember me saying to you, like at the beginning of the lesson, not this lesson, but like the last couple of lessons, and I was talking about if the graph has its turning point on the x-axis, and it means that the bracket is going to be doubled up, and that's very important for us to bear in mind, not just in terms of the sketching of the graph, but now also here, this is why. Okay, so you need to know that whatever value of x is where it turns and as an x-intercept, you're going to have that bracket squared. Okay, this is what I was trying to refer to. Does this make sense to everybody? Can we move on? Okay. Bochepo, yes, you've got a question. Go for it.
Ma'am, so if ever they ask for P or Q, we must look for the coordinates that have y is 0. Is that it?
Whichever, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking me. Can you just explain that again?
Ma'am, if ever they ask us to find P and Q,
Uh-huh.
must we find the coordinate that is y equals to 0, or is there another way to find P and Q?
No, no. So it just, what you need, in this case, they've given you the y-intercept. But as long as they have given you another point, it doesn't matter what point they've given you. As long as you've got an x and a y to sub in.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Oh, and that reminds me, I'm actually glad you asked, because the question said to us, determine the values of P and Q, right? I wrote down the value of Q. I didn't write down the value of P. Okay, so what's the value of P?
Positive 5.
Is P equal to positive 5? What's everybody else saying? Oh, now this is interesting. Some people say 5, some people say negative 5. Okay. Oh, why are they saying negative 2? P is 5. Why do they say negative 2? We said positive 2. Oh, yes, of course, because, sorry, that's me just being stupid. Sorry, guys. That was a bit of a silly mistake. Okay, this would have to be a negative, wouldn't it? Okay, look here, this is y. Okay, because they've got an x over there. That was very sneaky of them. Okay, so it would need to be negative 2. Okay, remember, because what we want to do is that when we take that bracket and we make it equal to 0 in order to find the x-intercept, we have to have x minus 2 equals 0 in order to get x is equal to 2. All right, so yes, q is equal to negative 2 and p is equal to 5. Does that make sense to everybody? Is everybody okay with that matrix? Okay. Sorry, I should have been more careful there. Okay, hope you, so you don't understand why p is equal to 5. Okay, so that was the question that, I don't know if it was Boychep or somebody was asking previously, okay? So over here, this bracket, over here, that is the factor or the root that is not repeated, okay? So in other words, it's going to be the other x-intercept, the one distinct x-intercept, which is going to be 5. When the bracket is squared, then that's going to be the one where it is a turning point as well as an x-intercept. Okay, so that's why the q goes here and the p goes over there. Does that make more sense now? Okay. All right, let's have a look at this one. So they have asked us to determine the values of a and b, and hence the equation of the cubic function. I hope this is big enough. Just make it a little bit bigger. Ooh, like that. Okay, so 2 and 9 is a turning point on the graph of f of x equals ax cubed plus 5x squared plus 4x plus b. Determine the value of a and b. So now they only, okay, let me go back. Hope they were quite sneaky with this question. All right, if you look at the signs here, okay, just go back up again. Can you see that in this bracket over here, they had negative P, and in this bracket over here, they had plus Q, all right? If they had had a minus Q in here, which I think is what none of us looked at it carefully, then our answer of Q equals positive 2 would be right. But because they were very sneaky and they put plus Q over here, we had to make sure that we changed it into a negative so that we've got a negative inside that bracket. All right. As far as the x minus p is concerned, if you look up here at this one, okay, so y equals a, x minus x1, x minus x2, x minus x3, right? Look what happened here with all these signs. So that is negative 2, but when I subbed it in here, it was plus 2. This was minus 1, but when I subbed it in here, it was plus 1. This was 4. When I subbed it in here, it was minus 4. So when I'm subbing it into the form x minus x1, it's going to change its sign, isn't it? So it's the same story here. Okay, when the 5 goes into this bracket, it's going to end up being g of x equals x minus 5. Then you're going to end up with your x plus q squared. Okay, now if we want to work out what these roots are, remember after we factorized everything, you're going to end up with x minus 5, x plus q times x plus q, aren't you? So either x is going to be equal to negative q, and we worked out that q was going to be negative 2, or x is going to be equal to, take the 5 over to the other side, it's going to be equal to 5. Okay, so that's why p has to be equal to 5. Okay, does that make sense now? Right, but here they weren't sneaky when it came to the p, they were sneaky when it came to the q, and I should have noticed that as well. Okay, there's a plus inside there instead of the usual minus. Okay, and that's why we had to change the sign. Okay, all right, I think we're all good to go. Let's have a look at this question. So now they want us to calculate the value of a and b. Remember, a is the coefficient of the x cubed term, and in this case, b is actually the constant. It's actually going to be the y-intercept. Now, what they've given us here is completely different to everything else. They've only given us one point, and they've told us that it is a turning point. So how do we approach a question like this where we've been given only one point and it is a turning point? What do we do? Anybody know? If we want to solve, okay, hang on a second before I, aha, can you see there? You are brilliant. Yes, we need to solve simultaneously, quite right. So if we need to solve simultaneously, can you see it means we need two equations. Okay, so how are we going to make two equations from the information that's given to us? How are we going to make two equations from the information that's given to us? Matrix, what should we do? Okay, so we absolutely have to use the first derivative, okay, because it's a turning point. So we know that the gradient is 0 at this turning point. So quite right, absolutely. Let's find the derivative. So we come along and we say f prime x equals 3ax squared plus 10x plus 4. Okay, so the derivative does not include the b term in this case, but that's all right. What is f prime x at the turning point? What is the value of f prime x at the turning point, Matrix? Exactly, Boucher. Now, I'm going to sub in 0 over here, but now I've got an a and an x. So what can I sub in that will allow me to calculate the value of a here, Matrix? Exactly. We know the coordinates of the turning point. So we know the value of x at the turning point. So we can sub 2 into the derivative to work out what the gradient is. Sorry, to work out what the value of the gradient is at that point. Okay, so now, sorry, to work what the value of a is. Okay, when the turning point, when x is equal to 2 and the gradient is 0. That's what I'm trying to say. So 3a, sub in our 2 plus 10 times 2 plus 4. So this is going to give us, that's 4 times 3 is 12, plus 20 plus 4. So negative 12a equals 24. So a will be equal to negative 2. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Good stuff. How are we going to work out the value of b, Matrix? Absolutely. So we're going to sub a in, and we're also going to have to sub in our turning point. So we're going to have to sub in our y. Okay, so we will sub in a, and we will sub in x, and we will sub in y. Now, Tebogo, I see you're a little bit confused. All right, so guys, those of you that know what's going on, you can continue. All right, and you can work out the value of b. I'm just going to go back over how I calculated a was equal to negative 2. All right, so Tebogo, what's important with this problem over here is to know that they have given us the turning point. Remember, the gradient at the turning point is 0. Okay, so that's why we have to derive, because we have been given a turning point. So we're going to have to work with the derivative. So we're going to take the first derivative. So f prime x, and now we're deriving. So we're going to end up with 3ax squared plus 10x plus 4. Okay, so at this turning point over here, the gradient is 0. So that's why I'm replacing the gradient with 0. Now, if I want to work out the value of a, it means I need to know what the x is, all right? So the x at the turning point is 2. They told me that here. Okay, so where the gradient is 0, x is 2. So I'm now going to sub in the place of my x, I'm going to sub in my 2. Okay, so that I can work out the value of a. Does that make sense now, Tebogo? Okay, and that's how we ended up with a being equal to negative 2. All right, so Belinda says b is equal to negative 3. What does everybody else get? Okay, so that's what I would have done here. All right, so you're all getting b is equal to -3. Absolutely. So you would have gone and subbed in your point. So in other words, you're making your x equal to 2. When your y is equal to 9. And of course, you've subbed in your a equals -2 from what you've calculated over here. You've subbed that in here. So now b is the only unknown in the equation. All right. Lovely. Okay, well done, Matrix. That's really nice. Okay, so we've seen a lot of different examples this evening of the types of things that they can give us. All right. What I wanted to do here was give you the opportunity to practice some of these on your own. So I think with the amount of time that we've got left, there really is only time for us to do one question. All right, so either we would have to do 1A or we would have to do 1B. 2A is something that it brings in a tangent, but hopefully we'll be able to talk about that next time. All right, so let's see if we can work out either A or B in the time that's left over. And then obviously I will give you the answers for both. So do either A or B. And Nelisa and I will give you a bit of quiet time. We'll mark that and then we can finish off. No, Tebogo, you can't, okay? You can only calculate the turning point of a parabola using minus b over 2a. Okay, so if you want to calculate the coordinates of the turning points on a cubic function, you've got to use the first derivative. Okay. Okay, cool. Nelisba, I'm just grabbing a pen.
Okay.
Belinda, did you not get A is equal to -1? I got all the same answers as you, but I got A is -1 for 1A. Kulani, you also got -1. Yeah, so Belinda, I'll show you what I did. Okay. Okay, Morongo, you also got -1. Because I know I make mistakes, so I will never say I know I'm right.
I also got a -1.
Did you also get -1? Thank you, Neliswa.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Now, if Neliswa says it's -1, you can be sure that it's -1. Anyone work out the values of A and B yet? Yeah, I also got A is, now here I got A is equal to +1. Oh no, you're talking about the first one, Tisha. Okay, all right. Anybody do the second question? Anyone do the second question? Okay, so if you do want to try the second question when I come back to it at some stage, you should get that A is equal to 1. Let's see what other people, I know. Tebogo says you're still busy with it. Okay, that's fine. Keep going, Tebogo. Anybody else apart from Tebogo, try the second question. Okay. All right, Tisha, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. Hope you want me to do question A quickly. All right, that's fine. Just while we're waiting for the others to finish B, I can do that with pleasure. Okay, so Hope, what you should have done was this. Okay, can you see here? You've got x-intercept, x-intercept, x-intercept. Okay, how do I know that? Because the y's are all equal to 0. This is a y-intercept. So this is the other point. So in this case here, you have got 3 distinct x-intercepts. So you are writing y equals a, x minus 6, x minus 1, x plus 2. And then you're going to sub in this point. Okay, the negative 12 goes here. 0 goes there, 0 goes there, 0 goes there. All right, so you're now going to end up with -6 times -1 times +2 is going to give you +12. And if it's equal to -12a, then that's why I said a was equal to -1. Okay. And then you would obviously have to take that and go and sub it back in. So Mohammed is getting a different answer from me for the second one. Neliswa, did you work the second one out?
Okay, I haven't worked out the second one, but I can quickly just work it out
Okay,
and then.
so I worked out the second one. Sorry, I got A is equal to 1 and I got B is 8. Anybody else get that? Okay, so Mohammed, we got the same answer for A. Tebogo, did you get 8? Maybe I made a mistake with B. Let me just look again at my notes. Oh, so you also got 8 like I did. Do you want me quickly to do the second one, B, guys? You made a mistake, yeah. No worries, Mohammed. I make lots of mistakes, as you can see. All right, we all do. All right, so you should be getting A as 1, found it. Okay. You want me to do it? Okay, Tisha, I'll do it very, very quickly. All right, because unfortunately now we are out of time. Okay, so again, can you see here, we have been given a turning point, hint, 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 and another point, okay, which is that one over there, right? So if they use the words turning point, you know you've got to derive, okay? So I'm just going to clear this space over here, and let's quickly derive. Okay, so we would end up with f prime x equals minus 3x squared plus 2ax plus b when we derive. Okay, the gradient at the turning point is 0. The value of x at the turning point is 2. So now we're going to sub in 2. And we're going to get our first equation in terms of a and b. So this will be negative 12 plus 4a plus b. Okay, and that's essentially equation number 1. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Equation number 2 comes from me subbing in the other point. So y is 0 minus, okay, negative 3 is my x squared. So I'm subbing into my original equation here. A times negative 3 squared plus b times negative 3 minus 12. So I'm subbing my other point in. So the turning point, I'm going to sub the x into the derivative. And then I'm subbing my other point in. And now I'm going to get another equation in terms of a and b. Okay, so this is going to give me 0 equals, oh, sorry, that's a cube. So this is going to be positive 27 plus 9a minus 3b minus 12. So that's going to give us 15 plus 9a minus 3b. And now these are the two equations that I want to solve simultaneously. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to divide through by 3. So that's going to leave me with 0 equals 5 plus 3a minus, I said I'm dividing through by 3. Okay, so b. And now what I could do is I could make b the subject of the formula in both and then equate the equations in terms of a, or I can make one of them equal. So if I wanted to, let's say I do this, I take that b over to the other side and I say that b is equal to 5 plus 3a. Now I want to take that and go and sub it in here. So if 0 equals negative 12 plus 4a plus the value of b, which is 5 plus 3a, then look here, I'm going to end up with negative 7 plus 7a. I'm going to take that 7 over to the other side. So 7 will be equal to 7a. So a is equal to 1. Subbing 1 back in here, b is equal to 5 plus 3 times 1. That's where I got the 8 from. Okay, when you say you did something different, Mohammed, what did you do? So I'm not sure how you would do that one differently. Goodness me, look at the time. Okay, so it's already 6 minutes past 7, guys. So we're over now, unfortunately, which means we're going to have to bring the lesson to an end.